welcome to today's episode of Kandid. Today, I am here with Dolores, and she is going to be talking about her Ivy League experiences as well as her chosen career path. Stay tuned, it's all coming up next. So hello, Dolores.
Hey, Nakaya.
Thank you so much for coming on today's episode.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, ma'am. All right, let's start with letting the viewers know a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So my name is Dolores Wilson. I am 26 years old, originally from Birmingham, Alabama, but I currently live in Washington, D.C., where I work as a social impact consultant and journalist.
All right. So Dolores, tell everyone about your educational background.
Sure. So I actually met Nakaya attending Spelman College. I graduated in 2012 with a bachelor's in political science. I then did a concurrent degree program between Harvard Kennedy School of Government and Georgetown Law. So this was a 4-year program where I finished with a master's in public administration from Harvard and a Juris Doctorate from Georgetown just this past May 2016.
All right. So now you have 3 degrees.
I do.
From 3 pretty prestigious institutions, I must say.
Thank you.
All right. So you mentioned that you attended Harvard and Georgetown. Tell us a little bit about what attracted you to them.
Yeah. Well, Harvard's name, obviously. I'd heard about this, all my life. I knew this was kind of the beacon of academic excellence. I knew the top professors would be here. I knew that I could really challenge myself and be exposed to a lot of new ideas, a lot of innovative ideas, and really grow in my expertise. Being a public servant at heart, wanting to study how government operates, wanting to understand, the legal structures in place that keep certain communities in one position and other communities in other positions. I wanted to go to the beacon of it all, where those rules are made, where the people that make those rules attend schools, where they send their children, so that I could really understand what's going on. And so Harvard Kennedy School of Government is a top policy school, so that was a given for me. Georgetown Law actually chose because they have a very strong public interest program. They also have Section 3, which is an alternative legal curriculum that no other law school has. Basically, it's a fusion of policy and social justice issues into the legal curriculum. And so instead of just learning a case in isolation, you actually learn it within the context that it actually happened in, which is, it makes sense, right? That's how you should learn the law. But that's not how every school or most schools even teach. So I was really wanting to go to Georgetown and experience Section 3. I'm really glad that I did.
Awesome. Okay, so you just talked about some of your experiences. Tell us a little bit about some of the struggles you endured.
Certainly. So obviously, Harvard and Georgetown are both predominantly white institutions, and I obviously am not predominantly white. I'm not white at all. Okay? So being involved, being in this situation where you are a minority in the classroom, no one looks like you. You may be one of 2 Black people in a room of 150. Mm-hmm. You may have to deal with cases, especially in law school and criminal law classes, that are obviously racially motivated, obviously have racial undertones, and your professor may just kind of dismiss that or may act as if those feelings or those truths are unwarranted. It's difficult, especially for myself. I mean, I'm not a cookie cutter, I'm not a preppy type of person. I don't ascribe to a corporate idea of professionalism. My nose ring stays in, my hair most of the time is in a curly afro. So these sorts of even aesthetic things about myself don't necessarily fit into the demographic of what these schools attract. And so you have to find where you fit in or acknowledge where you don't and be okay with that. I think it definitely is a place where you have to be very true in yourself, because it's easy to fall victim to other people's expectations just so you can fit in or just so you can be comfortable, because obviously the academic load is a lot, right? And it's well, if I'm already so stressed out from class, I also don't want to be having to deal with being Black too. Right. Well, for me, I could never separate the two. I'm Black first, I deal with class second. And so if you're not sure of who you are before you walk in that door, it's really going to make everything else that much more difficult.
Okay. So would you say that was the main difference between your HBCU experience and your PWI experience?
Yeah, so it obviously was a transition for me. Going from being around people that look like me to going around people that don't look like me. But I think one of the biggest challenges or changes for me was recognizing that all Black people don't care about other Black people. At Spelman, this is funny when I say this. at Spelman, like we're told we have a choice to change the world, right? It's a service-driven school. We're sisters. We're helping each other out. We're helping our communities. Like we're in this together.
Right.
Okay. Well, when you go to grad school and law school, like it's cutthroat. Like we're trying to you're my competition, right? And I never viewed my peers that way.
Right.
I also never viewed. I always saw myself in a position where, if I had all this access and resources by being able to attend these schools, my job then is to give it back. Mm-hmm. And I want to be in the community. I want to be serving the community. I want to be using these $80,000 club budgets to do real work, outside of the school. And everybody doesn't have that goal. Like some people are really just trying to get these A's so they can go work at a top firm. Right. And that's cool. You know what I'm saying? We need y'all too. But for me, that was hard for me to deal with. I had to learn and accept that. Like, Dolores, everybody don't think like you, girl. Like everybody don't care. Some people are just out here trying to get paid. Right. And that's cool. And so now I'm cool with that. But at the time, as a 1L, I was just like, what's wrong with y'all? How dare you? But I get it now. I get it. That's cool. It's cool. I need y'all to write me checks so I can do what I need to do in the community. So yes.
So Dolores, you mentioned you have an MPA and a law degree. So tell us a little bit more about some of your current ventures.
Sure. So I definitely took an unconventional path. Mm-hmm. And I'm not doing what I guess the typical graduate of any of these schools with these degrees would be doing right out of school, which is cool. I had to follow my own passion. So I am a social entrepreneur at heart, and so I pursue social ventures. I help start them, I help launch them, and grow them. Right now, I'm working with a startup called Push Black that's incubating at the Center for Public Research in DC. It fuses Black history with current events to promote civic engagement. So in my role there, I'm the chief content strategist, not only developing the content strategy, but seeing how users engage with our content. What do they respond to? What's going to be most impactful for fueling civic engagement for these upcoming local elections? I also work with the U.S. Black Chambers. I'm traveling nationwide to 8 cities, but that literally grows by the day, to train minority millennial entrepreneurs on how to start and grow a business. And actually, I'm really able to use so much of my legal background and policy background to fuel that curriculum and designing the curriculum, and even in responding to participant needs, and seeing, what do they engage with most? What are they trying to hear? How do we best support minority entrepreneurs within these different localities? So really enjoy that experience. That's what brings me to Atlanta this weekend, actually. I'm also a journalist, so I issue op-eds for a variety of publications, and right now I'm working on Congressman John Conyers' memoir, which has been an amazing experience to really see. He is an historical figure. He's the dean of the Congress and has been around literally through all the movements that we're studying right now, trying to emulate as we're trying to retain the progress that we've made. So I've been really blessed to walk in alignment and to have opportunities that are speaking to my true interests. But it wasn't easy. It wasn't
so
easy.
Since you have 3 degrees from 3 prestigious institutions.
Spelman's my favorite, though.
Hey, shout out to Spelman. Do you kind of feel like you can write your own ticket?
I do, and I feel like I should, and I feel like more people should for that very reason. I didn't work this hard to fall in line,
right?
And that was never the goal. Looking back, it also doesn't make sense, at least for me. I think everybody has their own path and their own journey and their own reasons for doing things, but for me, I justified it to myself. I was like, Dolores, you just worked your butt off, so do what you want to do within your means. Granted, I got to be smart about it. I have student loans are real, but I don't think they should cripple you. This is so funny. I use America as an example. America has so much debt. America is still moving.
Yep.
So why should I let this little play student loan debt cripple me from moving and doing what I want to do? America does what it wants to do.
Yeah.
Did you watch the news today?
Yep.
Trump does what he wants to do.
Awesome.
So I'm gonna also do what I want to do.
So Dolores, now I want to get just a little bit of your advice. What would you tell Black women who are aspiring to go to Ivy League institutions?
Sure. So I would tell Black women aspiring to go to Ivy League institutions to, of course, follow what career services will tell you, which is, get your resume in order, be involved, make good grades, have good recommendations, obviously. But more importantly is you need to be very sure of yourself, and you need to know your worth, stand in that worth and stand in that purpose, because people are going to try you. They're going to test you. They're going to come for you. They're going to try to act like, you're not smart enough, or, something about you doesn't fit, that you're like, they're going to make comments about your hair. They're going to make comments about the way you dress. They may make comments about the way you speak. For instance, I had a professor tell me in his office how he was surprised at how articulate that I was. And I'm like, well, why is this surprising? I'm a graduate student at Harvard. Duh. Of course I'm articulate, but it's these kind of subtle, implicit biases that will manifest, and they'll try to rock you. Right. But you have to know who you are so that you don't let that eat at you.
All right, Dolores, just my last question is, what advice do you have for those that were kind of in the similar place as you? You have a top degree from a top institution, and you're not sure what your next step is. What would you tell them?
I would say give yourself space and time to think about it. Obviously, I recognize the privilege in that. Okay, my situation, I didn't have children to answer to. I had saved up my student loan refunds to allow myself to give some time off. But I didn't have anything necessarily beholding me to not having that exploration period, or that period of just like solace where I could think through and figure it out. But I would say give yourself that space, and in doing so, trust your instinct, trust your gut. Like, that little voice you hear that's like, girl, but you don't really want to do this, and you're trying to like justify why you should, listen to that voice and follow it. Anything worth gaining is worth taking the risk for. And if it wasn't going to be a big reward, it would not require a lot of sacrifice. Right. And so think about that. Like, you're going to have to walk away from that security blanket. But if you think about the most successful people in the world, that's what they did. That is the prototype. Like, we kind of know, we have an idea of the model for success, and it ain't the safe route. Mm-hmm. It never is. So trust your instinct and be sure of yourself, and live your own life. Take charge of your own life.
Well, great. Actually, I lied. I do want to ask one more question.
Okay, one more question.
I just want to know, how do you define success?
Caught me off guard with that one. I would define success by happiness. Success to me is not a monetary calculation. It's not a feeling of financial stability, although that can impact your happiness, of course. Everyone's happiness indicators are different. But like right now, I believe I'm successful. Even with student loan debt, even, I'm not in like the fanciest apartment in life, or I'm not driving a range, but like, that's not what I care about. Like, I'm proud of myself because I listened to myself and I followed through on my own volition. And to me, that's success. And also part of that is like, how much of this am I now able to give back to other people? Like, I don't feel successful unless somebody else is being brought up with me. Right. But that's how I define it. Some people define it by like, I closed a $500,000 deal. I'm successful. That's cool. That's success too for you. So I would say success is definitely it's an individualized calculation. Mine is really based on trusting who I am, following through on that, because I recognize that there's so many instances where I could pivot because of self-doubt. So when I follow through on that, I believe I'm successful. And when I can give that back, give that success back to someone else and help them achieve their own level of success and their own definition for success, that makes me happy, and therefore I'm successful.
And voila. All right. Well, that concludes today's interview. Dolores, tell everyone how they can keep up with you.
Sure. So you can find me on Instagram at Yo Soy Dilo. That is I am Dilo, but in Spanish, YOSOYDLO. Also, subscribe. ThePaulaTour.com is actually launching in about 3 weeks. This is a blog that I started while I was traveling. It's for the conscious nomad. It speaks about the political and social implications of the tourism industry. So really excited to kick that off. If you follow my Instagram, you'll get updates on when that is launching. So I'm really looking forward to getting that out into the world. So follow me, DM me. That's the best way to get in contact with me. And I look forward to keeping in touch.
Yes. All right. If you guys have any further comments or questions for Dolores, you can reach out to her, or you can just comment below and we'll make sure that they get answered. We hope that you enjoyed today's interview, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.